Morning, everybody. I hope you're all well and in great spirits. I had made a video recently that I posted, and I liked the message, but I felt like I was a little condescending to what I perceived as flawed logic. And that's the most I'll say about that. The logic just seemed flawed to me. That logic being that Chicano rap is being defined by who the rapper is. And I just wanted to give my perspective on what really creates a genre. I think what creates a genre is the audience. If someone is writing for an audience that is mostly Chicanos, then that would be Chicano rap. Along that same argument, I've heard that other ethnicities don't get put into a box because because of their ethnicity, and I would disagree there too. I think black rappers have been labeled either West Coast or East Coast, or the dirty South, or it's trap music, and folks could be partial to one of those such that they don't even listen to the other one. And so they are put in that category. And granted, it's not based on their ethnicity, but their geographic location and style that corresponds to that. In writing, there's a science fiction section at the bookstore. There's a nonfiction section at the bookstore. There's a autobiographies. There's a biographies. Those are all genres, and they're determined by the content and who the expected audience will be. And so that is my take on how genres are defined. I don't see a conspiracy against the raza to hold them back by calling them Chicano rap, and thus putting other ethnicities off to their music. And this applies across the board, content creators, Instagram folks, Twitter folks. An example is if your message, every other sentence is, brown pride or black pride or white pride. The folks who are not of that skin color will probably feel this isn't for me. They're not talking to me. They're talking to people that look like them, and will eventually, gravitate off unless, their goal is to see how other groups operate. And so even in that Chicano rap genre, I've heard folks say that, they're proud to be Chicano, and they're proud to be labeled as Chicano rap. They don't identify with this logic that they're intentionally being held back by being labeled as Chicano rap. A person could be, there's Christian rap. There's gore rap. And, with gore rap in particular, it had a strong foundation in Sacramento. And one of the folks who rapped like that in the beginning, later on came out with some political songs about the condition of black folks. The song is Misanthropy on the Unforgiven album. And to me, that whole album was fire. Like, it was just bursting with talent. Just real talent, a real understanding of words, analogies. It was deep. It was deep, and it had flows. And I shared it with a coworker because, they profess to be fans of rap. And a lot of these folks are actually, colleagues are fans of rap. And they listen to rap that I don't normally listen to. They've mentioned names. One time they said Chameleonaire or something like that. They were even playing at being rappers and giving themselves fake rap names and then making up raps about science and their work. and everybody thought it was cute. And so I shared this CD. I was like, look, man, this is just so much talent. And I was digging the message in some of those songs of describing the oppression. Not that I'm digging the oppression, but that it's being described and shared. I loaned the CD, and I must have got it back like the next day. Like, it was a hot potato. I mean, they gave me that back like I had loaned them a Fusca that was hot, and or on the dope track on the first. I mean, it was hot. They didn't want it. They were like, man, that is just way too hard for me. That music is too hard for me. That were their exact words. And you can't imagine too many people in Raza culture saying, oh, that's too hard for me because I'm hard, right? But it wasn't for them. And as talented as this rapper was, they were not his audience. The mainstream was not his audience. It was people who are hard. And so I think there is a little bit of a victim mentality in folks saying, you know, we're called Chicano raps because we're Chicanos and they don't do that to anyone else. No, I think it's called Chicano rap because the intended audience are Chicanos. That is who relates to the marketing in the videos. That is who relates to the message in the music. And so if you write for that audience, it's fair to be labeled as that genre of your audience. And so I think I've pretty much made the point that audience determines the genre, not necessarily the author's personal characteristics and attributes. They do determine who the audience is when they're writing. That is the number one rule of writing. Know who your audience is and then write to them. If your audience is the mainstream, you go more general. In my work, there are things called technical documents because the intended audience are people with a technical background. You know, people with science, technology, engineering, math, and technical backgrounds. And then usually those technical documents will have an executive summary, which is all that technical stuff broken down into a Reader's Digest version that should be digestible for everyone. Everyone should be able to read that and understand it. That is catered to the mainstream and laypersons. And so when things are labeled, it's because I believe who the audience is. And all right, now I'm repeating myself, so I'll go on to my next topic that kind of fits in this. I'm sure you've heard your favorite ex-boyfriends, and then I hit it with and when I saw that, I saw a reaction video, and because he had gotten a Foos Gone Wild tattoo. And a lot of the comments were to the effect that he was starving for clout, that he did that because, he was thirsty for clout off Foos Gone Wild. And, I disagreed. I have an Iron Man tattoo, and it's half colored in because I've only done half an Iron Man. I shouldn't even have got it. I don't feel like I earned it. Although it's clear I've only done half of one with the tattoo. Here's the point of it. When someone completes a full Ironman, they swim 2.5 miles, they ride their bike 112, and then they run 26 back to back within 17 hours. A lot of them get an Ironman tattoo, and they aren't brand whoring for the Ironman company. That symbol means that they persevered, that they were able to accomplish something big. It's representative of their lifestyle and not the Ironman company, because a lot of them always feel like they're overcharging, the services are becoming less. A lot of people complain about the actual company, but they'll get a tattoo of the brand because it means something bigger than the company. And I think the Foos Gone Wild logo has kind of achieved that status where if you see that tattoo, you can associate that person with living a certain wild lifestyle. and not necessarily that they're whoring for that brand. Um, your favorite ex-boyfriend, I saw an interview with him, and he was talking about he parties pretty hard on on hard stuff, and is out there, and that's a fool's gone wild lifestyle. He's a fool gone wild. And so I don't think he was brand whoring, but anyways, some of the other comments was that he was a one-hit wonder, and that's why he did it. That was part of why he was thirsty. And then I saw him come out with a second song. And in the second song, he adds new sounds. He goes, and then I hit her with the ow and the oh. I hit the oh. So he's not just whistling, he's doing new stuff. And I don't know if you've ever watched someone dance, and I've like actually seen it with my kids where they're like dancing and you think they're all done and they ran out of moves, and then they do something totally different you weren't expecting, and you're like, oh, that was tight. So I kind of got that with the second video. I was like, oh, that's tight. He came up with new sounds, and I'm rooting for him. He is, I think he's Raza, but he doesn't fit into general modes. So I don't see him getting labeled as, a Chicano artist. I just see him as, a fool gone wild artist, because he's out there. And what I also heard was that in the first song, when he did the whistling, he was actually bringing something to the mainstream that a lot of them don't get to see, and that was the language of trap houses, because he's from the South, and that's where that term originated. And what I heard is that in those houses sometimes they're worried about bugs, wires, wire taps, and so they won't say things like, they won't say, hey, pass me that, and then name the drug. They'll be like, hey, hand me that, and hey, what's up with that? And so that's how they would not incriminate themselves. And if that's the case, and he brings it out like that, he's sharing something that we wouldn't otherwise be exposed to, which I think gives it an element of depth. I like him. I'm rooting for him. And my dog's over there going, woof, woof, which means she wants to get out. And so I probably should go let her out. Check him out. He's pretty funny, and the song is something you've not heard before. It's innovative. It's pioneering, and I hope he keeps building on it, because whatever that genre is, I enjoy listening to it. It's funny. Have a good one. Enjoy your day, and I'll re-upload this. I didn't like that I sounded a little bit condescending in the last one, so I took it down. Hope this was better. And, I wish you all the best.